I'm a bit of a storyteller. Got lots of slides, lots of photos, and I'm going to start in Puerto Rico. I'm Thriti, and I've been working with a sustainable forestry project in the southeast of Puerto Rico for about 23 years now. Here's our project. You see the yellow outline. That's the Iron Rainforest project. Going closer into the land, this is 1,000 acres that was put together in the early 80s to make this forestry project. And this just gives you an overview. I'm going to go through it quickly. You can see 300 acres of this land is left as part of the sustainable forestry side, and the rest of the land is left as a wilderness, which is these valleys, Itaco Valley, Formiga Valley. All over 50,000 trees have been planted on the land, and mostly timber trees in that 300 acres. This project was started by the Institute of Ecotechnics in the early 80s as a result of a trip up the Amazon on the ship that they built in the 70s. And you can see some of the characters here that were on that expedition. And then as the ship came back into Puerto Rico, their overarching goal was to set up a sustainable forestry project. They got to see firsthand the effects of deforestation and illegal logging. So from 2003, I arrived at the project in the year 2000 after Hurricane George. So it took us a number of years to get going after George. And we've been ongoing many different types of studies on the land. Lots of collaborations with the University of Puerto Rico, the International Institute of Tropical Forestry, the Department of Natural Resources, Earthwatch, etc. We've planted endangered endemic trees in collaboration with US Fish and Wildlife, published papers on tree growth, biodiversity studies, etc. We've worked in the forest mostly on our timber project over the last couple of decades. And then just as our sustainable forestry project was starting to, pay the bills, Maria hit, and that just devastated us. We went out into the world away from our project because out there on the streets, millions and millions of trees were being crushed and dumped in landfill. And we were growing trees for the future, and there out on the streets, this was happening. These are all images of mostly mahogany trees, and as probably everybody knows in this room, it's one of the world's most valuable woods, and a lot of it went to trash in Puerto Rico. So we instigated a major wood harvesting, a wood salvage operation, started another wood yard in the middle of the island. Of course, we had to come back to our mountaintop, and this is how our project looked after Maria. This is about 3 weeks after Maria, and everything was broken. We're at the top of the mountain on the east side of the island, and everything was mashed, including the nurseries. So we really had to pick up the pieces then, and I realized that philanthropy was one way for us to get out of this hole, and reaching out to people to find out how we could make it through the mess of Maria. We didn't have electricity for 9 months even, so it was very difficult to even operate in any way. So, I'm so grateful to BGCI and Association of Zoological Horticulture, etc. have been helping us get out of this. I'm not a trained scientist, but I've been doing this for many years. I trained in research on coral reef research on that ship that you saw. I spent 3 years on the sea. So, but what do I know about conservation? Well, mostly everything I'm learning about conservation is through BCG9, so I really appreciate it. So looking at the problems, wondering how do we pivot now that we've got so much infrastructure damage at our project on the 300 acres, which is our forestry. We've lost our bridge, we've lost our road, but we have to keep going, and nursery is the way to go, especially. So this is funding that came through CHAD and the Association of Zoological Horticulture, and enabled us to keep going. And then we started a project with BGCI on 2 trees, and built the botanical team. Many of you will know many of these characters on here. And it's been one of the most important things for me to do in Puerto Rico, to build this team. And we are in constant communication on our WhatsApp. We've been working on surveys. This is Ravinia urbani, one of our rarer species that we are collecting seeds and surveying for, and Garcinia puertoricensis. Just giving you some idea of seedling work that's been going on. And then we found that the Garcinia puertoricensis that we are looking at, we are finding that there might be a couple or at least another species in there. From herbarium specimens, we're seeing huge differences, and also we're seeing, well, we've been around the island now, so we're seeing the coastal Garcinia puertoricensis, we're seeing the mountain Garcinia puertoricensis, and just from this picture, you can see there's a significant difference. I'm growing seedlings in the nursery, and I'm watching the mountain ones, the coastal ones, and there's a big difference. Here you can see in the growth of 2.5-year-old, the Garcinia from the coast, the Garcinias from the mountain, a huge difference in the growth form and the leaves as well. And here it's very clear to me. Anyway, Andrew at Missouri is going to help us with DNA work on that. We've been, of course, growing the seedlings in the nursery. And so we've done about 29 field expeditions and successfully propagating seeds. And one of the most interesting things for me, we've been working on the species recovery management plan. And that's been a really creative process, working with my team on a Google Doc and, having nights of discussions about the whole thing. And we're putting together a great publication on both of these species. And then also learning about red listing. What does that actually mean? And, everybody that comes to our project gets involved in nursery work and gets a tour of the place and gets their hands in the soil if possible. So here again, in September 2022, Fiona hit, and again, we're at the top of the mountain. So we had about 28 inches of rain in about 24 hours. It was devastating. It broke our forest road and it broke our bridge, which has left us really with a broken back on our sustainable forestry timber side. However, we've always been growing trees, we've always been planting trees, so it's not a new thing for us to go straight in a year later, let the landslides relax, and then plant them out. We've been also planting and growing and planting other plants, shrubs, and vetiver, which is also really good for erosion to So, resilience, when I think about resilience, what is that? Pick yourself up and keep going. Well, to keep going, but to have creative projects that are worthy. And, conservation for me has become something that I'm constantly defining in my life. What is it? Well, the nursery is a huge part of the life of the project now, which before it wasn't such a great part of it was always, like the nursery. But now it's a major part of what we're doing. And the idea is to keep connecting people with plants and exchanging info, helping people to learn, including myself, and making presentations and conferences at our place. And making, botany really attractive. And also I'm an artist, so using art as a form of bringing people in to have a look at everything to do with plant work and getting people excited about plants. Here are some of the, we've got many critically endangered species on our land. And we have been collecting cuttings and seeds and growing them quite successfully. And I urge any of you coming to Puerto Rico, please come and see us. We have this 1,000 acres, and a lot of the land of this project hasn't been traversed for about 100 years or so. It's land that was abandoned, and it's also steep and inaccessible in a lot of places on where the big watersheds are. So there's a lot of plants that haven't, nobody's even been into those parts. I've been there 20 years, and I've been around the land, but there's still parts of the land that I haven't traversed. Credit to the botanical team in Puerto Rico. Again, some of you know the people here, and also thanks to people like fish and wildlife biologists and fish and wildlife has been really helpful to me and to our project, and other biologists on the island who have helped us with finding the trees that we've been looking for. Thank you, DGCI. Thank you to the Caribbean Network. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm going to visit.
We're doing really great on time, so we have time for a lot of questions. Ready?
Good morning, 3D. Thank you so much for your presentation. I just want to make a comment that I think that this is definitely one of many showcases that illustrate the importance of resilience and also brings hope. There are botanic gardens that are suffering risk of various types. We represent one being from Bermuda, and we just want to say thank you for bringing this presentation and being the bulldog, as it were, to continue on. And I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate this presentation. It resonates a lot.
Thank you very much, Danny. I appreciate that a lot. It takes a lot to pick this stuff up off the ground. It's wet and soggy and keep going.
Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I know, it's difficult to be proactive in preparing for these devastating events. Is there anything that you were considering that would offer you the ability to bounce back quicker?
High up on my wish list is a nursery made of metal, hardcore metal in concrete.